me from Los Angeles is Robert Khachatryan, founder and CEO of FreightRight Global Logistics. Robert, welcome to the program. Let me first begin with this trade framework between the United States and EU. Even after the EU formally passes this legislation, what is the likelihood of the bloc still facing further tariffs from the Trump administration? President Trump has made no secret of the fact he likes tariffs.
Thanks for having me, Asieh. Yeah, definitely. I think the most important factor is that many of these deals that have been announced and have been in the works aren't actually in effect yet. So, Vietnam is an example, and many other deals that are supposed to be in effect, but it's just framework. Customs is not enforcing a lot of these. So just because the Europeans are backtracking or announcing reductions doesn't really mean anything at this point. It's just a wait and see, in best case scenario.
Let me move on to the U.S. formally ending its duty-free exemption for low-value imports. This is huge. It affects millions of companies, millions of us consumers. Talk about the impact for retailers to begin with.
Yeah, this is arguably a much bigger issue or a much bigger impact than the tariffs in general. This de minimis exemption underlies a lot of the business in the United States and has had a huge effect on retailers nationwide. I think larger retailers in general are for this exemption removal because everybody who buys cheaper products online, from online marketplaces isn't buying those products from retailers. So I think in general, the effect is probably positive on large retailers.
So from what I understand, any imported goods sent through the International Postal Network that's valued at under $800 will now be subject to applicable duties. So Robert, a question that was raised in the newsroom amongst my colleagues was, if I send something, no, let me get this straight. If I send something overseas, that's not affected. But if someone from overseas sends me a gift, let's say a painting worth $600, so who pays the cost of these tariffs? Is it me, the consumer, the receiver here in the United States, or is it the person sending it to me from overseas?
Well, it's absolutely the receiver. These are import duties, import tariffs enforced and payable by the importers.
So how do I pay that? Is it basically added to the cost of the painting?
Correct. So there will be at some point exemptions actually rolled back that would exempt actual gifts. There has to be, because people send things to each other, relatives sending gifts to each other that have no commercial value. This is not what the target is for this new legislation. It's actually to prevent commercial imports that are entering the country duty-free and largely compliance-free. So the painting sent by your relative at some point will be treated differently. It's just the changes have to settle in for some of these things to start working properly again.
And I really was just using that as a hypothetical. There's no painting coming my way. I wish there was, but there isn't. And for those of us who order things from Amazon, Shein, Temu, Etsy, all those items, we're going to have to pay a lot more now.
Correct. Amazon being slightly different in that most of the product you buy from Amazon is probably already in the country. It's not being shipped from overseas. But marketplaces like Shein and Temu are definitely the primary target of this.
Robert, the Trump administration says this will level the playing field for U.S. manufacturers and retailers. But there's a lot of concern about how it's going to impact the economy, the global trade. It could even fuel inflation by raising so many prices. This doesn't seem like it's a good idea for the overall e-commerce and global trade.
Yes, definitely. I would say, though, it's a little more nuanced than that. Price-wise, it's definitely going to have a negative impact. It's going to most likely have, a contributing effect on inflation. I think what what is usually meant by leveling the playing field, it's not even necessarily for the U.S. manufacturers, unlike the general tariffs. It's about the importers in general, maybe larger importers who, the one important thing to keep in mind is that under de minimis historically, these products not only entered the country duty and tariff free, but they didn't actually go through the same compliance enforcement as regular imports. So, a company importing a toy that's basically compliant with safety regulations is at a disadvantage compared to a foreign seller who doesn't have to comply with safety regulations. It's not just a matter of playing field, it's also a question of safety for U.S. consumers. So there's a few other things at play here that, the government presumably is trying to solve.
All right, we'll leave it there. Robert Khachatryan, thank you very much.